Hello and welcome to this LabVIEW tutorial video. One thing I wanted to show you this here is for those of you who experiment with using a local variable for your stop button and then having to change your stop button to be a switch, okay? So I'm going to unwire this here for a moment because it does break my program. But if I've changed this to a switch, okay, when I have, well, let's run it once. I run it, I change something to see what happens, and then I hit the stop button. And then I go to run it again, and it immediately stops because my stop button is still pressed. So now I have to remember to unpress my stop button before I run again, and then it's allowed to run. There's a way to fix this. So, for example, and I'm going to show you two different ways here. The first way is simply to create a quick local variable. And I know that was off the screen, but so let me show you again here. So we create, still off the screen. Okay, we create a local variable. There we go. So I'm going to drop this down and move around. Oops. And I'm going to select it so I can move it over here. Now, LabVIEW usually runs left to right, so probably this will happen first. I can initialize, I can create a constant here to make it false as we start. Let's see what happens. I'm going to run it, and it did. It worked. So I stop it, I run. It gets here before it gets into the while loop. So this is working all right. However, I had to take a big guess that LabVIEW was going to start here before it went into the while loop, right? So that was a guess, and no one wants to guess what their computer program is going to do. You want to be intentional about how you program it. So let's look at one other option here. And now I'm just going to make my block diagram a little bit wider. I'm also going to move this up. It's just a little bit easier if my while loop is smaller. Okay, so now I'm going to come to my structures, and this is a structure we haven't talked about before. This is a flat sequence, and what flat sequence looks like is it looks to me like a film camera roll, and so it's going to do things in a sequential order. So I put this around everything, and I'm just going to right-click on the outside and add a frame before my current frame and move that over a bit. And I'm going to move my stop initialization command into my first frame, which means when LabVIEW starts this program, it does everything in this box, and then it does everything in this box, and if there were more boxes, it would do them sequentially. So I'm forcing LabVIEW to do things in a particular order. That's something that allows me to know that this will always happen before I get to my while loop. And that's the way I like to program. I don't want to leave things to chance and hope that my computer program understands what I'm trying to do. So when I stop and I run, it will initialize my stop button first. So if I turn on highlight execution, it does everything here, and then it gets into this while loop here. Okay, so it's showing you visibility about how it goes through things. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. But that is a suggestion for if you're going to have a stop button that has a local variable that requires you to choose switch, go ahead and initialize that stop button to false using a flat sequence with a pane right in the front just for your initializations. That concludes this tutorial video.